All right, on this first tutorial for the web page model assignment, I am going to show you how to build a structure of a web page using only HTML. So in this first video, we're not going to deal with CSS. So hopefully you're logged into your CodePen account. Like you see here, this is my home page. And on this menu over here, you're going to go click on Pen, and that will take you to a blank pen. And so this is going to be the space where we'll conduct our web page model. We can lower this JavaScript box. We're not going to be using JavaScript. We can also lower this CSS box for now because we're not going to be using CSS in this first part. So in this web page model assignment, you are going to be building a relatively simple web page where you're talking about a favorite video or a favorite movie of yours. And so you're basically going to be building a web page to, a movie that you like, whether it's your favorite or not. So a couple of things that we're first going to work through is let's just go ahead and get started with the title first. So I'll just call this my favorite movie. And I might change that later depending on where I decide. So let's start with a heading. So we're going to start with an H1. And let's make a tribute to, let's see, I'll do Spider-Man Homecoming. Then we'll close that. Okay, so we're going to start with an H1, and that'll just be the title of the movie that you've chosen. And let's go down and underneath of this, we'll create an H3. So remember the different H elements is H1 through H6, right? So is the total number of heading elements that HTML supports. H1 is the biggest and H6 is the smallest. So H3 is kind of like a nice middle range for a subheading, I think. And here I'm going to create just kind of like a subheading description. So something like, let's look at the other Spider-Man movie, because there's been a lot of these things. So it looks something like this. And now from here, let's go ahead and we are going to pull in an image. Okay, so here, I'm going to go to Google and I'll search for Spider-Man Homecoming poster. Right, and so there's a bunch of different posters here. Let's see, just something. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, so I'll just go ahead and pick, this one looks good. And the key with pulling in an image here now, so the way that CodePen works is what we're going to be doing here is hot linking to this image where we're not actually going to be hosting the image on our website, right? So it's still going to be hosted on whatever site it's coming from. So in this case, we can see it's hosted on IMDb, which is the Internet Movie Database. We're going to be linking to this image from our web page. And so what we need to do is, I need to make this smaller so you all can see this, is that we want to get to this, we need to get to the root extension of this image. And so what we need to do here is I'm right-clicking. So what I'm doing here is I'm right-clicking on the image, and then I'm opening the image in a new tab, okay? So let's open this up here. And you can see it's giving me this long, very long URL. But the key here is that I'm checking at the end to see that it ends in JPEG, right? And so that's what we need to get to, is we want to access the image at its root element. Okay, so not this kind of, where is it? So the problem with this is that you can see that it has all of this kind of wrapping around it, and so it's not the image itself. It's kind of a display that IMDb is using. It's this media viewer link right here, right? But when I right-clicked on it these controls will get out of the way. When I right-clicked on it to open it in a new tab, I was able to open the image in a new tab and get to the JPEG here. So what I'm going to do is copy, and I highlighted the entire link and I held Control and I pressed C. You can also right-click on it and copy if you're more comfortable with that. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to add an image, right? So we have an image tag, and then we're going to source, right? So SRC, which is the root for source, or the abbreviation for source. And then I typed quotation marks, and then I'm holding Control. Actually, let me just do it with the right click so you can see. And then I'm pasting my link right in here, okay? And then don't forget to close that as well, right? So you want to close the caret, you have the open caret, the close caret. Remember, like FreeCodeCamp and Ducket talk about, image elements are self-closing tags. And what that means is that the entire element is just one thing, right? So whereas, for example, H3 and H1, right? So these are not self-closing because they have an opening tag and a closing tag. Whereas the image element is only a single element, right? So it just has the opening caret and the closing caret, and they are self-closing. So they just have the image and the source, and then the closing caret. Okay, so you can see that this has inserted this gigantic picture over here. So this is probably bigger than I would like, which is fine. So if you get an image that's huge for this step, that's okay. We will work on resizing them in the future using CSS. So if your image is very big, or if it's kind of taking up the entire screen, don't worry about it. That's fine for now. Okay. Okay, so we've got that in there. So let's go ahead and now add a link to the IMDb page for this movie. So I'm going to go back here. And this is the cast and crew. I want to actually go to the page itself. So Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, here we go. So if you've never visited IMDb before, like I said before, it's just the Internet Movie Database. It just hosts all kinds of information about every movie you could think about. You've probably encountered it during your internet travels at some point. Okay, so again, I'm going to copy this link, and then I'm going to jump back here. And so then I'm going to type A, right? Because the A element is how we identify an anchor. And then I'm going to say href, which stands for hyperlink reference. And then we're going to, I pasted my my link in there. So that was me just pressing Control V. You can also just do Control paste like that if you want. Excuse me. And so what this is doing, we don't have anything yet. So I'll say Spider-Man Homecoming IMDb page. And then I'm going to close that with the A element. So the A element is the opening, right? Again, we have the opening tag, and then we have the closing tag for the A element here. All right. And so you can see that it's put this down here. Again, it does not look very beautiful, but when I click on this, it takes me to a blank page. Cool. This is actually a useful example of when we have to troubleshoot stuff. So what's happening here is that CodePen is, CodePen a lot of times when we try to open links inside of this like preview browser that you can see right here, sometimes it has trouble opening those links inside of the preview browser. So what I want to do is to force this link to open in a new tab. And it's usually a good idea to do this with any of the links that you're building in CodePen, just so you don't run into the problem that I just ran into. So what I'm going to include here is after my, right after my link, so you can see inside of this opening caret, right? So we have the opening tag. So I've got the link, and then I have target equals quotation marks again, underscore, and then BLANK, so target blank. All right, and then I'll go ahead and save that. And what this is going to do is what this is telling the link is that it says, hey, anytime somebody clicks this link, I want you to automatically open it in a new tab. So when I click it now, you can see that it automatically made this page open in a new tab. And so this is solely an issue with CodePen in this preview browser. So go ahead and, if your link works, that's great. But I'd encourage you just to get into the habit of using this just to be safe for all future links that you include and that you build in CodePen, just so you don't run into that issue that I just saw, okay? So anyway, so that's open now. All right, next step, let's go ahead and create an unordered list for the movie's stars and actors, okay? So an unordered list looks like we're going to say UL. So this is something that CodePen covered and that Duckett has covered as well. So remember, we have unordered lists and we have ordered lists. The difference being that the ordered list places numbers beside the items and the unordered list places just bullet points beside the items, okay? So unordered list, and actually before we do this, let's go ahead and put a paragraph here. So the P tag, I'm gonna say starring, that. So that should give us a, yeah, so we have a little starring tag down here, okay. Okay, so unordered list, we're gonna jump back to the IMDb page, put it over here. And we have a couple of different actors. So for your movie, whatever your movie is, just grab, the top, three actors in it. So I'll grab Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, and Robert Downey Jr. And I'll grab Marissa Tomei because, I like her as an actress a lot too. I want to include here. So let's see. So we have UL, we have Tom Holland. Oops. So UL, Tom Holland, and I'm actually going to tab that over. So I'm going to say UL, who's next? Michael Keaton. UL. UL, Robert Downey Jr. I don't know why it keeps trying to reformat it like this. I appreciate that, CodePen. And then I'm going to say UL, Marissa Tomei. Spell her name correctly? Yes. Okay. Okay, so then we'll do that. Oh, you know what? I just made a huge mistake, I realized. Let's see what this looks like, right? Because I kind of, yeah. So So yeah, I just made a huge error, and rather than editing this out and cutting the video, I'm going to show you how I fixed this. So I accidentally said that I wanted to start a new list for each of these, which is why it looks like this, right? So we don't see any bullet points. This was me accidentally, and that's why I kept trying to reformat it. It's because I just had a brain fart. It's trying to create a new unordered list for each of these items, but that's not what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to create an unordered list that featured all of these items. And so I mistakenly, rather than UL, I should have been saying LI, because the UL tells it that it's an unordered list, but the LI tells it that, hey, this is a list item inside of this list. So if you caught my mistake early as I was talking through this and you're like, why is he doing this? Congratulations. If you followed along with this and now you're correcting it along with me, I apologize. But hey, like I've said before, you know, an important part of technical writing and digital writing is troubleshooting and maintenance. And that's really one of the keys to being I made this mistake here, this should be UL. So UL, and then each of these will be LI, 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 LI. And then we're going to finish, we need to close our UL here. Okay, so now we have an unordered list. Let's see what it looks like now. There we go. So we have an unordered list with each of our actors' names listed right here, okay? So yeah, like I was saying, you know, a big part of writing web design in HTML and CSS is, you know, you're going to run into problems or forget things as I just did, or make mistakes as I just did. And, you know, just being able to recognize those errors and, you know, troubleshoot them, right? I'd say a big part of digital writing is being able to troubleshoot effectively, like knowing how to identify your errors. And if you can't identify them yourself, knowing how to search for those errors online, and, you know, find solutions online. So, you know, I apologize for that, but again, I hope that was at least a useful exercise so you can see, you know, what things look like when they're mistakenly put together versus what they should look like, which is this, right? So there we have our bullet points. We have our list set in motion. Let's see. Okay, yes. So one of the things I also want you to do is the next step is I want to make each of these names link out to their respective IMDb pages, right? So let's take Tom Holland, the main actor. Let's click on his link. So we'll take his link and I'm going to copy this. And then we're going to make this list item, right, just Tom Holland's, a link. So what we're going to do here is, again, another href, because again, that tells us to create a link. We're going to put our quotation marks. And we're going to paste. We're going to put our closing bracket, and then we're going to have our list item, right? So then we've still got our list item. And then we're going to close our A element, okay? Now, I do want to show you something really quickly. So again, you can see here, oops, and I forgot to add the target blank. So we're going to add target blank so that I don't run into that same issue again. So now when I click on this link, yeah, so now it takes me directly to his page. I do want to show you something really quickly though. So if I forgot to close my A tag here, say I forgot to do this. Now you can see that all of these names are highlighted, right? So now if I clicked on any of these, so if I click on Marissa Tomei, it's going to take me to Tom Holland's page. And the reason that this happens is because, so this A element, right, this href, it's linked to this, but because it doesn't know when to stop, it's just going to apply this link to all of the text below it, because the browser doesn't know when to cut off this link, because we haven't closed this A tag here. And that's why this link gets applied to not only Tom Holland's name, but to all of these names below it as well. You know, you don't need to do this, but just to kind of show you as an example, I think, I'm not sure if this will work or not, but if I forgot to close this A tag, okay, that didn't quite work the same way I was expecting. That's why. There we go. Yeah, so you don't need to do this, but just to kind of show you as an example. Right, if we forgot to close this link for the Spider-Man Homecoming IMDb page, now you can see that this starring is linked out as well, right? So if we click on starring, that would also treat that as a link. So just to kind of show you, if you run into an issue where you're like, why is my link, you know, when you're designing your own page, if you run into an issue where you're saying, why is my link applying to all of this text that I don't want it to, this is why. It's because you forgot to close the A element in the right place, or you forgot to close the A element for a particular, why is this doing this? For a particular link. Okay. So let's go ahead and fix that now. And I'm going to do something really quickly too, just so I don't have to keep scrolling down to show you what's happening. I'm going to comment out, and I'll get back to this in a second, but I'm going to comment out this image just because I don't want it in the way of what I'm trying to show you. So I'm going to leave the code here, but what I've done here is I've added this comment to tell the browser to stop showing it, basically to ignore it, right? So I didn't delete the code, but I've told the browser to ignore it for now. And I'm only doing this so that I don't have to keep scrolling down to show you what's happening here, and we can just see it more easily. Okay. So let's go ahead and fix this now. There we go. No, I don't. I put it in the wrong place. Sorry. It needs to go after his name. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so for some reason it had deleted my A. So there's my A. So now that we've got what we want. So we have Tom Holland's name highlighted with a link to his IMDb page. So let's go ahead and we're going to do this for each one of the subsequent actors as well. So we have Michael Keaton. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the link for him. I'm going to say a href equals, paste that, close that. Oops, I'm going to add target blank. Actually, you know what? I'll do that at the end. Just got in the way. I put it in the wrong place. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We have Michael Keaton. Great. And we have Robert Downey Jr. href equals, paste the link to that, close that, and we'll close our A element again. And we'll do one more for Marissa Tomei. So hopefully you're, you're watching me do this, but you should be doing this for each of the actors for your chosen movie, of course. So, and again, if you only have, 2 main actors, that's fine. If you have 3 main actors, that's fine. The main idea here is that I just want you to practice, adding links to their names is the most important thing. So now that I've added all of these links in, I'm going to go back and just copy and paste this target blank for each one of these subsequent links. So remember, right after the link in the opening tag, so I'm going to space away, and then I'm going to Control V, Control V, Control V. Right, so that, again, that target blank is telling each of these links to open into a new tab. So there's Marissa Tomei. We'll test all these. There's Robert Downey Jr. And there's Michael Keaton. Okay, so our links look good. So let's go ahead and jump down. And the next thing we're going to do is practice just doing a quick paragraph element. So a P element, the number just stands for paragraph. And really, this is just a summary of the movie. And so I'll say, in this movie, Spider-Man fights Batman from the 1990s. Because Michael Keaton is a villain in this, and if you ever saw the Batman movies back in the 90s, he was Batman back then. So, that's kind of short and funny. You can be more serious if you just want to get a serious summary of the movie, but mostly just to practice, again, using the paragraph element to show up just as a very simple, sentence right here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and we'll also add a comment. So you saw me add a comment up here to tell the browser to ignore this image for now. You can also use comments to tell other developers or anyone who might look at your web page why, something about the web page that maybe you don't want to show up on the web page itself, but if you're trying to talk to other developers who are looking at the code to see how it's put together. So what I'm going to say here is just a quick comment about why I liked this movie. And so in your own page, just go ahead and write a quick comment about why you like this movie. And you can see the formatting here, right, where you start with the opening bracket, and you have the exclamation point, and then dash, dash. And so if you've done it correctly, it turns gray like this. So I liked this movie because, I really enjoyed the dynamic between Tony Stark and Spider-Man, among other things. Okay. So then you're going to close it. You're going to dash, dash, and then comment like that again, or with the arrow, right? So that will, again, you can see that I've written this out, but it doesn't show up in the preview here because, excuse me, because it's a comment and it's only for people who look at the code itself. Okay, and then one last thing. Let's go ahead and we worked with GIFs earlier this semester. So let's go ahead and add a GIF here. And a GIF, remember, is just an image file. So let's go to Google, go to Giphy. So right now I'm just going to Google, I'm searching for Giphy, and it's going to take me to this GIF repository that we worked with before. And I'll say Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's see what we got. Which of these look good? Let's go with this one. Okay, so I've clicked on the GIF that I like. And then from here, I'll go to copy link. And then I'm going to click on, you can see there's multiple links here, but I want the one that says GIF link. So I'm going to click on that, right click, copy, okay? I'm going to go back to my page. And remember, because GIFs are images, we're still going to use the image element to display it. So image src equals quotation marks, and then I'm going to paste my GIF link. And then I'm going to, don't forget to close caret at the end. And so if things have gone according to plan, your GIF should show up like this at the bottom. All right. Check my list really quick. That is, and you know, your GIF can be something, it doesn't need to be the movie exactly. Like if you want to create a, I don't know, if you want to use a GIF that says, you know, this movie made me feel, you know, excited or scared or something like that, you can use more of like a reaction GIF if you want. Again, the main thing I'm asking you to engage with is just to kind of practice using the image and the source and to see how GIFs get displayed on web pages using this very familiar formatting for displaying just still images as well. So let me go ahead and remove this comment out. So I'm going to delete those arrows. And now we can see the poster is back because I've told the browser to say, hey, I want you to recognize this text again. And you know, this is a solid kind of structure, right? It's a skeletal structure for the start of our web page, of this model web page. However, I'm not a big fan of how this link is beside the poster, right? So I'm like, you know, I'd like to do something about that. So maybe rather than having the text here, maybe I'll just make the poster itself clickable. So I want to show you how to make this image a clickable link, right? Because we've all encountered places on the internet where we click on a picture as a link and it takes us to another web page, right? So instead of this text, right, instead of this link going to this text, I want this link to go to this image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this whole link right here. And I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to put it before the image. Okay. Paste. So we got that. Now I'm going to delete this text, right? So I'm like, I don't want that text anymore. So, and then we have we still need our closing A tag, of course, because we still want to tell the link where to end. So now you can see when I put my mouse cursor over this poster, this is now a link. It's recognizing it. And if you look, I can't move my mouse, but hopefully you can see down there in the left-hand corner, the link to the page pops up. So when I click on it, it should take me directly to the IMDb page. So go ahead and do that on your page as well. So I want you to practice, you know, getting rid of that text and then making the link instead attached to the image of your poster or the image of your movie, okay? So I will cut this off here for now, and I'll, once you've done all of this, you know, go ahead and move on to part 2 when you feel comfortable with the information here, all right?